Ah, the living dead, the zombies. But no, come on, it's me. Did you really think I was a zombie? Of course not, come on. Welcome to this video where we'll access the crawl space. We'll break, dig, and make a cover for the hatch. You'll see, it's very easy. And if you just happen to stumble upon this and you're wondering, who is this crazy guy doing a bad zombie impression? Well, it turns out I'm turning a laundry room into a bathroom. That's the room next to this one, and this is the utility room. The drains, the water heater, the water inlets, the access to the crawl space. In this bathroom, I've demolished everything. Insulated, put up drywall, and installed the bathtub, shower base, and shower niche. Anyway, you have the link in the description with the playlist and you'll find all the episodes. And now, we're going to focus on the hatch, and you'll see there's nothing complicated about it. The water heater has arrived, everything's fine, so everything's good. The delivery, the driver, he scratched my gate, but it's no big deal. It's just paint, we don't care. But he just didn't feel like making an effort. He asks if we can back up, and I say, sure, back up and put it there. I knew it wouldn't fit in front of the garage because of the door mechanism. You have to tilt it, but that's my problem. I didn't ask him to install it. He tells me as I'm backing up, he hits the gate, gets crooked on the gravel, and says he can't lower it with the pallet jack. I tell him it's fine, just put it down on the duck boards in front of the garage. He does, but very sloppily. The pallet tipped between the gravel and duck boards. I tell him to go, I'll handle it, so the driver leaves. I decide to unpack the water heater and bring it in. It's impossible to bring it in since the pallet and water heater together are too tall for a standard 2 meter or 2.1 meter door. And the garage door, so I start unpacking it outside. D will remove all the boxes and styrofoam. I found a strap, it's great. Place it between the pallet and water heater and tape it to the boxes. You deliver to the customer, who can call for help or do it himself. He takes the strap, lifts his water heater and removes it from the pallet. The goal was to move it to the back and check how much space was left for my crawl space access hatch. Well, not exactly. I leave room in the back for the manifolds, and now I know I can break 6 floor tiles. We're going to draw the hatch, cut it out, pour some concrete, and I'll have my access hatch to the crawl space. Later, I can seal up the old hatch. So, for now, we'll leave the water heater in the back. I put some tape on top to keep dust from getting in. I'm going to put some blankets, I'm going to protect it, and we're going to break 2, 4, 6 tiles. Draw the hatch, cut everything out, break everything, recreate the hatch, make 2-part concrete covers, otherwise it'll be too heavy to lift and I'll have my access to the crawl space. Off camera, I'll clear some dirt to make going down easier. Here I have to do the screed, it's the bathroom screed, and later I'll cover everything with polished concrete. I don't want to bother with tiles in this room, it's just a utility room, a laundry room, so polished concrete will be just fine. So now there's one last joint to cut. I place the straight edge. But it won't go in. Why? Well, because it's hitting the drain. So how am I going to do this? 2 solutions. I put the machine the other way. It fits, it's perfect. Another solution, if I'm against a wall, I have a wall. I can't put the machine the other way. I have my system there, it's nothing old-fashioned. So if it's glued, well, you're in trouble, but for me it's not glued. Because look, I can lay it down and I can even remove it because there's no glue. The joint is right here, you just fit it together and that's all there is to it. And guaranteed no leaks. So here I can remove it, I can put my ruler right up against it, I cut what I need to cut. No matter what kind of work you have to do, once you're done, you remove it, you fit it together and it's done, and it's guaranteed no leaks. It's not magic. A good thing. In fact, it's broken, it's removed. I skipped the removal step for you. It's not interesting. And now I can go down into the crawl space through here. So later I'll dig out a bit just to have a little more height when I go down, then I'll crawl. It's not a problem. So for those who are wondering, the beam, you can see it here, it goes through and the other one goes over there. So don't break a beam, don't cut a beam. That could make a mess in the house. It would be a shame. You only break between the joists or at the web. It can be concrete or polystyrene. Mine's polystyrene, which is easier. Lots of holes, a kick, and it falls by itself. The downside of polystyrene is that it gets beads everywhere you see. As soon as you touch it, it flies everywhere. You have to pick everything up. So there's a solution, which is to heat it with a blowtorch or a heat gun. And that makes the beads stick together. So that's what I did. You see here, I heated it. It shrinks a little and the beads are stuck together so they don't fly around in the crawl space anymore. I marked everything 5 cm around the hatch. So now I'm going to make 2 parts, right side and left side. Otherwise it will be too heavy to lift. And I have 2 options. Either I make a formwork underneath with reinforcements, or I compensate with polystyrene to make up for the thickness, because I'm not going to pour anything here. 30 cm thick would be impossible to lift and it's absolutely pointless. What I want is about 5 cm thick, so I build a form underneath, I fill in with polystyrene, I make a frame around it, I put a film to prevent the concrete from sticking to the slab, and then I pour the concrete. The advantage is that the concrete will take the shape of the slab, so it will never be wobbly. And of course, I level it with the tiles. Another solution is I make a frame here, I pour the concrete, and once it's dry, I take the cover and put it on top. Of course, it's going to be wobbly since this point is definitely lower or higher than this one, and that one. So we'll have to drill and put anchors and screws in all 4 corners, adjust the level, put the cover on, and make sure we're at the same level as the tiles and that it's not wobbly. And once that's done, we remove the cover, put tile adhesive all around, then put the cover back on with a plastic film between the tile adhesive and the cover. We let it dry, then we remove the cover once the tile adhesive has dried, take out the screws, and I can put it back in place. It's stable and level with the tiles now, so I'll use this solution since I don't want to go into the crawl space. 2 boxes from underneath, it could be done, but honestly I don't feel like it. I prefer to make my frame here, pour it, set it, adjust it, level it with screws, glue, tiles, it'll be just fine. There we go, and without smashing my knee on the edge, that would be a shame. My plate mode is here. So you take chipboard, melamine, plywood, oriented strand board, whatever you want. The idea is to make a frame and pour the concrete inside, so we don't care what happens to the wood. The bottom, you can reuse it, of course, the screws, we reuse them, but the sides, I want to tell you, unless you're making covers every day, yes, you can reuse them, otherwise it's trash. And for the ends, I use pallet wood, it works perfectly. Okay, so that's done. You can put a plastic sheet inside if you want to remove the mold more easily, or tape, whatever, I'll see. It goes from 3 cm up to 30 cm, so my cover will be 5 cm. Of course, I measured the thickness of the bottom, so here I have 7 cm, I'll have 5 cm left. Knowing that I'm going to put it a little bit lower, meaning that I'd like to add a seal afterwards. Well, a seal, you know what I mean. A kind of gasket, because we're right under the rail base for the plate, that's fine with me. It's just to make it airtight when I put the cover on, so I'll explain all that when we put the seal underneath, and even a polystyrene plate glued under the cover. When I take it off, I'll put it on the polished concrete, as I said, since it will be polished concrete. I don't want to damage the polished concrete, so by having a polystyrene plate underneath, when you lift your cover and put it down, it doesn't get damaged. So I'm going to put rails on all of this. I'm going to remove the ties. At least it'll be more resistant, because if I just pour concrete and walk on it and it cracks, well, I end up in the crawl space. So we're going to make the concrete pretty liquid, pour a thin layer, put in the rebar, add another layer of concrete, pack it all down, vibrate it with the tamper, and then it'll be just fine. You'll see that afterwards, we'll be able to lift it, lift the slab, the lid, and set it down. If I see it's too heavy with the suction cup, well, I'll just cut it, and that'll give me 2 parts. Okay, it's easy to do. You'll see the formwork, the concrete, we pour it and let it dry. While my little lid is drying quietly, we let it rest for 5 days. Why 5 days? Because I have 5 cm of thickness, so count 1 day of drying per centimeter of thickness and you're good. That reminds me, I didn't even give you the dimensions. 60 by 90. That's enough to fit into a crawl space. You could make it bigger, you could make it smaller. You do what works for you. So, 5 days of drying, even if it's quick set concrete, it takes 15 minutes in this area. You can already see that it's starting to set. I told you, I'm not in a hurry. We wait 5 days, we remove the formwork, we bring it above the crawl space, and we see how it turns out. And with 2 suction cups, normally I should be able to move the lid, and if I see that it's too heavy, I'll cut it in half. So moving it isn't really the problem, because I'll slide it, I'll bring it over, but it's once I have the screed all around it. Then I'll need to be able to lift a 60 by 90 by 5 cm piece of concrete. Believe it or not, that's about, I'd say, around 40 kilos. I had to use 40 kg of concrete, so lifting that with 2 suction cups could be tricky. As I said, we'll cut it in half and see. I couldn't resist removing the formwork after 8 hours to see the result. It's actually pretty good. The concrete is well compacted, so we'll let it dry for 5 days, and after 5 days, boom, straight onto the hatch. We'll adjust the level and it'll work. Of course, I could have made the outline with steel angle iron to reinforce the corners and prevent them from breaking, because as it is, it could crumble. But honestly, at worst, if it crumbles, a bit of polished concrete and you won't even notice. And around the hatch, I could have put angle iron too, but is it really worth it to use angle iron there? Making the cover heavier isn't necessary since it's already heavy enough. As I mentioned, you can fix it with polished concrete. Wow, zombies? No, it's still me. You get me every time. Alright, let's stop here for this video. The hatch and cover are done. In the next video, I'll show the small screws for tile collars, leveling, the polystyrene, and the seal under the cover. We call it whatever we want, you'll see, it's very simple to do. And we'll also cut off the house's water supply to reroute it for the water heater, and you'll see that cutting the water supply in the crawl space is honestly quite a workout. So if you enjoyed this video, as usual, give it a big thumbs up and leave a comment. If you're not subscribed, what do? You subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and we'll see each other in the next video. In the meantime, take care and see you very soon.